Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is One Piece East Blue Saga Syrup Village Arc, Episode 16, Protect Kaya, Usopp Pirate Gang Takes Action. The episode in a nutshell is just a brief reminder of exactly what happens within this episode. So we start with the vegetable children leading Kaya through the woods while Django follows them. Django is using his chakram to basically mass cut down trees in an effort to give them less places to hide. But because they are so familiar with the area, they do manage to hide behind a dead log and lose him while he goes looking into another place. However, as they are running away after that, Kaya's weakness starts and she ends up in a coughing fit, kind of having to hide near a cliff. And so the vegetable children basically worry because she's not able to really continue running, and yet they know that Django's still after them. And with this tense atmosphere in place, we then move back to Kuro and Luffy's fight, where, Luffy becomes happy that he's destroyed half of um, Kuro's cat claws, which are, of course, his sword gloves. And Kuro basically, his crew cheers him on. He tells them that, he's going to kill them too. And he starts to kind of sway back and forth a bit. And Luffy's confused while the crew gets like really nervous and upset because they know what's coming, which is his attack that is basically indiscriminate killing while he moves too fast to be seen. But because he's moving so fast, he just basically kills everything and anything that's in his way. And so he begins that attack, and Luffy's there kind of not able to see him. And then we start seeing the crew members falling one by one with flashes across them. Nami, who has, despite her horrific shoulder injury that's made it so that she can't fight anymore, being so terribly painful, has found the strength and energy to go on Kuro's ship and loot their treasure, as is her way. And she comes out on deck, notices that everyone's standing there kind of silently, and then watches kind of from her point of view as everybody starts to fall down, and we see basically the crew members falling one by one. And then Luffy finally kind of gets a feel for the attack and manages to pull Kuro out of it. And Kuro tells him that it would have been more humane for him to let him finish the attack, as now his crew members are all left half dead instead of fully dead. And Luffy basically tells him that he is never going to become a man like him or a pirate like him. And Kuro says that it's not that you won't, it's that you can't, while threatening Luffy, and they have a stare down before Kuro goes back into an attack once again. And then we kind of are left there while we return back to Django having found the tracks of the vegetable children and Kaya, and he basically falls into their trap where they have lured him, and he ends up falling over a tripwire, which then he gets a pepper attack, which makes him sneeze a lot, and they catch him where it hurts before loosening a log that falls down on his toe, making his toe stubbed. And then they go to attack him one more time with the shovel, bat, and frying pan, but he basically grabs the onion kid and tosses him into a cliff, while the pepper and carrot are only able to stare at him in horror. And he goes to attack them and reminds them that he is a pirate, which they seem to have forgotten. And Kaya, in a valiant effort, tells him to spare the children, but he says that he's been ordered to kill everybody, so he's not going to do that. And so she then grabs the chakra from him and basically says, I'm not going to wait for you to kill me. If you don't let them go, I'm going to kill myself before writing a will, and without a will, the entire plan falls apart, so let them go. Django agrees. Meanwhile, while all of this has been happening, we have Zoro and Usopp running around the forest, Zoro not being very great at following any directions, but they basically, as a cliffhanger ending to the episode, come across Kaya, who has finished writing her will, which is Django has taken, and now he is about to kill her, and Zoro drops Usopp and starts running towards them. We then briefly move back to Luffy versus Kuro, but not much happens with that fight, just more of the same with him using his new attack. And that's where the episode ends. So now that we've been reminded about what happened within the episode, it's now time to rank the episode, and we rank on two lists. Our mostly objective ranking list, which is void emotion, and then the personal ranking list, which is entirely emotional. So as always, we start with our mostly objective rank values, and we will start with our positives. So first, worth 1 point is our single arc supporting character growth, which is the vegetable children. We see that even though they are interfering with a fight that is well beyond their capacity and capability, they are very clever children and they manage to set a trap for Django. And they have their pepper attack and the setting up the log to dislodge and stub his toe, the tripwire, the hitting him where it hurts. All of these things show that they show growth in the characters and their cleverness, though again, regrettably, they are in a fight that's over their heads, which does lead to Onion being thrown into a tree, while Carrot and Pepper can't really do anything to help, and are basically just used as hostages to make Kaya write the will. We then have our single arc main character development, which is worth 2 points, which is that Kaya does in fact write the will, willingly in order to save the vegetable children, and that was worth 2 points. Worth an additional 2 points, bringing us up to 5 points total, is the single arc main character growth, which is the revealing of Kuro's newest attack, which is the out of the black attack, which again is him kind of swaying back and forth to get in the mood, and then moving so quickly that he cannot be seen, while all you can see are the wounds he leaves behind as he drops multiple people all at once. And this, of course, is implied to be the attack that he had used in the flashback in the previous episode as well, though it was not named then, and we did not see it because we only saw the aftermath in that flashback. Hence why this is the one where it's debuting. And that is our positives. However, we do have one negative, which is, of course, worth minus 2 points, leaving us with 3 left over, and that is our negative messaging and behaviors. And this, of course, is the fact that Kuro's plan basically also includes betraying his allies. You know, his crew, they came to help him, they continued to follow his orders and be loyal to him. Django as well was his vice captain, became captain in his absence, is here to help him, is following his plan to a T. All the while, he has been planning from day one to kill all of them as well, and when he does his attack, the out of the black attack, it ends up basically, well, it kills them too. They're within the range of the line of fire, and it's also implied when he's going around killing them that this is not the first time he's used the attack, and not the first time that he has killed enemies. We also hear him talking to Luffy about how much he despises his crew, calls them dogs in need of a master, basically says that they can only follow his plan and orders, and essentially, in a roundabout way, calls them cannon fodder. They are fodder, they are his to use and his to kill, and he doesn't care about them at all. They mean nothing and are willing sacrifices. Even Django, who he is closer to than them, he's planning to kill once he gets what he wants. So that's very negative messaging behavior. He is a villain, so it is expected behavior, but that doesn't make it any less negative. And so overall, again, 3 out of 10 for this episode objectively. Which brings us to our arc rankings so far on our mostly objective ranking list. And in first place, we have the world's strongest weirdo, Django the Hypnotist, the terrifying duo, Nyabam Brothers versus Zoro. We have defeat Kuro, Usopp's tear-filled determination, honorable liar, Captain Usopp, Revealing the conspiracy, the pirate caretaker Captain Kuro. Battle, the Black Cat pirate crew, battle on the slope. Luffy's revival, Miss Kaya's life and death confrontation, and then this episode does come in last place so far. In 8th, Protect Kaya, Usopp Pirate Group takes action. Which now brings us to the personal ranking. So, with this episode, I found surprisingly few negatives for me personally. Obviously, we have the poor crew who have been betrayed, but at the same time, it's like you've been following this guy for a while, you probably know what he's like. And while it does come as a surprise to them that he does want to kill them all, I'm not sure why it came as a surprise because he was willing to send one of their crewmates to take his place in the last episode when we got that flashback. So clearly he doesn't care about them too much, or or he wouldn't have done that. So again, I kind of feel like they brought it on themselves. I enjoyed the fight with Luffy. They had that epic stare down where it was, you know, Luffy having like the cat claws like in his face, and he's just standing there stoically staring while Kuro stares back, and he stares and back and back and back and forth until Kuro then launches his next attack, which I always love those epic stare down moments. We always like to see a serious Luffy because he often is not serious. So it's kind of like when you have that person who has like endless patience and is always like light and easygoing, and then they actually get angry for once, and it's like, oh shite, you definitely did something wrong because this person does not usually act like that. It's one of those moments when he gets into his like serious mode, and I enjoy that. So we liked that. I also really enjoyed the kind of Nami side quest where I've mentioned in the previous episodes where I was like, she is so over milking that shoulder injury. I mean, it is an injury, fair play, but it's like it's a minor shoulder slash, not even that bad. She can still move the arm. She's way milking it. And then, sure enough, what did she do as soon as she was kind of forgotten about? Go and steal the treasure because that is Nami's way. And I always like to see that. And then, of course, we had the comedy aspects. We had the Zoro being directionless and almost getting lost, even with Usopp on his shoulder trying to tell him where to go, which, as we know, Zoro's sense of direction is very bad, rivaled only by Luffy's sense of direction. So they're on they're on their way, and that was fun. We also had, of course, the Django comedy of chasing the kids when they're hiding behind a log. You know, Carrot almost sneezes, almost giving them away because he decided to hide behind a frond. Like, honestly, it looks like pine needles, and yet it's. Was it a pine forest? I don't think it was a pine forest. Either way, it looked like little a branch with like little pine needles at the end of it, and that was like under his nose, causing him to almost sneeze. And then he does sneeze, but they like plug his nose and mouth so he doesn't make any noise. And then, of course, we have the pepper, we have the hitting where it hurts, we have the tripwire, we have the stubbing the toe on the log that they put off the cliff. So all of that was really fun and entertaining. I didn't necessarily enjoy that Kaya was so willing to write the will, but at the same time, in the situation, it was kind of inevitable that she would, so that's kind of neutral. But overall, I enjoyed the episode. One other main downside, though, besides just the poor crew of Kuro, was also the fact that we didn't really get any resolution to any fights in this one, and we're left once again on a cliffhanger, but again, that's really mild. So, all of that to say that on the personal ranking, I decided to rank it a 7 out of 10 because I found it very enjoyable, which brings our arc ranking so far in the personal ranking to in first place. Battle, the Black Cat Pirate Crew, Battle on the Slope. This episode actually comes in second. Protect Kaya, Usopp Pirate Gang takes action. Then the world's strongest weirdo, Django the Hypnotist. Fourth, we have the terrifying duo, Niaoben brothers versus Zoro. We have Honorable Liar, Captain Usopp, defeat Kuro, Usopp's tear-filled determination. And then in seventh, Luffy's revival, Miss Kaya's life and death confrontation. And then eighth, and so far last place, is revealing the conspiracy, the pirate caretaker, Captain Kuro. And that brings us now to our saga ranking so far, which is where we are ranking each of the arcs within the saga against each other. And under our mostly objective ranking, in first place, we have Romance Dawn arc with 86.67%. And in second place, the Orangetown arc with 76%. Syrup Village arc so far has earned 52 out of 100 points. And then on our personal ranking side, we have the Orangetown arc in first place with 74%, the Romance Dawn arc in second place with 66.67%, and then Syrup Village arc so far has earned 41 points out of 100. This brings us to our final segment, which is our series rankings so far, and this is where we are going to be ranking each of the sagas against each other. And on our mostly objective rank, Blue Saga has 16, a maximum possible 80, and our personal ranking has 11 out of 80. With that, we've now rewatched and ranked One Piece East Blue Saga Syrup Village Arc, Episode 16, Protect Kaya, Usopp Pirate Gang Takes Action. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.